name is Rach and welcome back to another Thursday game review video. Today we are going to be reviewing a game that I recently streamed over on Twitch for the first time, and that is of course Palia. So Palia is a massively multiplayer online RPG game that has graphics similar to that of Dreamlight Valley, and it is a super fun game that I've been hearing a lot about, and I decided I would go ahead and get it since it's free on Steam and Epic, and I thought I would go ahead and play it and test it out for you guys. As with most games, the first thing that you have to do in Palia is design your character. Now, before we jump into talking about the designing process of your character in Palia, I want to preface this entire game review by saying that normally I do my game reviews on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, and I always say at the end of the video what my official rating for the game is. However, I will say that with this game, those sections are going to be a little bit different for what actually makes up the rating. So my initial rating of Palia will be based off of the character customization and the graphics, so that's going to be combined into one category because otherwise I feel like that would be a little unfair. And then we're going to have another separate category of my judging for the characters and then the gameplay itself, so that includes like the skills and everything else. And then we are going to have a bonus category that I rate the game on for the customization in the world, so like on your plot and such. That being said, let's jump into discussing my favorite aspects and my least favorite aspects of the character customization. So my favorite aspect of the character customization was just how detailed it is. With a lot of its competitors' games, like Disney Dreamlight Valley and a few of the other games I've tested out, the character customization isn't nearly as detailed as that of Palia. So Palia has quite a lot of different sections that you can create with your character. There are a couple different options for clothing and hairstyles. Honestly, I was quite impressed with all of the different sections and how many different options there were for each section. So even though it's a beta game, I feel like they put a lot of work and efforts into making the character customization quite well done. It feels very thought through. There are a lot of little tiny details like belts on the clothes and little things about the glasses and like the hair. I particularly used a curlier hairstyle because I always use curly hairs in character customized games, as I do have curly hair in real life myself. And I really appreciated the attention to detail that they did with that hair that I used, and I felt like they did a lot of things in this game that were particularly good for character customization. And like the face shapes were all quite diverse, and I felt like it was pretty good. The only thing that I didn't really like about the character customization that I will say I wish they would have changed a little bit is the body types. When I was initially picking out which body type to choose for my character, I almost chose the wrong one because they didn't really make it super clear with the icons which one was which. And I'm pretty sure I almost, if not afterwards, did choose the wrong one. And I will say that I do wish was a little bit more obvious and diverse. Like maybe they could have used some more universal symbols for masculine and feminine frames. That way you could have been a little bit more clear with it. And then also I feel like there wasn't a lot of body diversity with it, like how in The Sims you can change their body weight and like how much muscle they have. There's not really a lot of body options in Palia. They don't really have a lot of options for changing anything. It's kind of just like either you pick the masculine frame or the feminine frame and you can't change anything else about it. So I will say I wish they would change that, but for the most part I will say the character customization was pretty on point. As you've already seen, I've met a lot of characters in Palia, and there are even more that I probably haven't even discovered yet or interacted with much, but I did try to include as much of me talking to different characters as I could in the video, just so that you guys could get a good taste for just how many characters there are. There are so many in this game though, and I'm sure I'm doing an injustice by only showing a couple, but I could only fit in so many clips, and like I said, I haven't even interacted with some of them, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, these characters are really highly detailed. They all have different personalities, and I really, really love the way that they all seem to interact with each other. They all seem to have actual relationships with each other and bonds that I think really makes the game special and a lot more than some of the other games that I've played before. It reminds me a lot more of how in Stardew Valley they actually have some connection with each other, whereas in games like Sims, some of the townies don't actually know each other, even though they probably should. And with that, I think it leads us perfectly into my next section I want to discuss, which is quest. So the quests in the game are kind of brought on by the characters, which is why I wanted to position this right after the character discussion. So basically the quests are similar to that of other games that I played here on the channel, like Dinkum, Stardew Valley, and a few other different games that have quest objectives in them. But the difference in Palia from some of those other games is in Stardew, you can't actually pin the quests, you just kind of have to remember them. And the only place you can actually see the ones you're working on is in your journal. And you have to kind of open it up and scroll through them and then try to remember. And if not, you have to open it back up, and it's just a whole big deal. And in Dinkum, you can pin one quest at a time to your screen as a task list, but you can't pin multiples without some sort of mod, I'm assuming, although I haven't really looked into that. But in Palia, you can have 3 pinned quests at a time that tells you exactly what you need to do to complete said quest for the character. And honestly, I think that that's a really good way of keeping people engaged with that carrot on the stick type of syndrome that everyone seems to have when they play a video game, of like, oh, I just want to complete this next quest so that I can quit the game. I know it's definitely kept me more entertained than a lot of other games that I've played because of the way that they have the quest system set up. I think it was set up really, really well. And like I said, for gameplay, I think it's something that keeps me really entertained and keeps me coming back to Palia. Like, I played it several times just since I streamed it, and that's saying something because it hasn't even been a full week yet as of me recording this video. Another small yet very important function in Palia is the multiplayer feature. So as I said earlier, it is a massively multiplayer online game, but you can also play it with friends. So when I streamed this for the first time, I streamed it actually with one of my friends slash sister, and we had a blast testing it out together, and you can actually see me following her around and fishing with her in some of the footage. An honorable mention, though, for the gameplay rating section of the video is that there is a really cool map feature in Palia. I wouldn't say it's as good as Dinkum's map feature, just because I don't quite have the hang of it as good as I do the one in Dinkum. But it is a pretty good map feature nonetheless, and I do think it'll help you with getting lost. If you're the type of person that can wander off and get lost a little bit within a game, then this map would be particularly helpful. Moving on now to the last portion I want to discuss about the gameplay is, of course, the skills. So a couple different skills are prominent in this game, similarly to its competitors like Minecraft, Stardew, and of course Dinkum. There are several different skills within the game itself. So similarly to those games, there is of course the basic skills you might be able to think of off the top of your head, like mining, foraging, and of course some form of gardening skill. But I will say that this game is a little bit different in that it has a couple extra bonus skills like hunting, and I think it's called bug catching, maybe, I'm not sure on that one, but it does have a couple extra bonus skills that other games do not. And personally, I don't like the hunting feature because I have a hard time killing cute animated characters, especially with really good graphics, because it makes me feel really, really guilty. But it was kind of fun to be like a little bit Katniss Everdeen-esque and get to shoot things with a bow and arrow. It was a little bit fun, I will say. So if you enjoy that sort of aspect in games and getting like a really realistic gameplay time with hunting, and also just having tons of different skills to explore and build upon, then that's probably going to be a huge plus for you. Something that isn't actually an official skill in Palia that I'm aware of, but is kind of along those lines, is cooking. So in Palia, you can cook and regain focus by eating the cooked meals, similarly to how you eat and regain stamina in some. And I think, for me at least, once I start really getting into this, that's going to be a really, really fun aspect of the game, especially with the fact that you can regain focus, but you don't really have a limited stamina. I think that's going to be really fun as well. And the cooking feature, I can't wait to get a little bit more into. Another honorable mention for this game in the gameplay section that I forgot to mention earlier is the emoting. So something that my sister was actually able to teach me that she discovered before me in the gameplay was that you can actually emote to show expressions within the game. So I had a fun time exploring a couple of those, and honestly I can't wait to explore the rest of them. Honestly, my favorite emote is the one where you're sitting on the ground with your legs crossed, because I think just the attention to detail within the game that they added that as an emote is just so amazing, and it really does show just how much the creators have put into this game. Speaking of my favorite things in this game, my favorite skill within the game was actually gardening. So the fishing skill was actually really, really nice. I actually really enjoyed it, which I wasn't expecting. It's actually my favorite fishing skill in any game. I think the way that you fish in this game is really fun, and it's actually kind of relaxing, which I don't normally say about fishing. But I will say that my favorite skill within Palia is actually gardening. Just because I love the way that it works with the day cycles and the fact that you can like water your plants and see the dirt change colors. And I really, really loved the like hoeing. At first I thought it was a little bit annoying, and I was like, okay, no, the hoeing is literally the worst part of this game. But after a while, I actually realized that the hoeing of the ground was kind of relaxing. I really liked the way that it slowly filled in the square, and then the little sparkles that came out when you got the full square filled in. And the planting was super fast, and I felt like the gardening skill was really, really fun, and I really think I'm gonna get into that because I really, really enjoyed all of the like gardening that I've done so far, and it's been a lot of fun. That being said though, gardening may not be your cup of tea when it comes to skills. You may like something more like hunting or fishing better, depending on your personality, because I do know that my sister did hate the gardening skill. Like, particularly, it was just the hoeing, I think. I think she actually liked the gardening mechanism itself, just because she loves gardening in literally every single game she plays, but she didn't really like the hoeing. She really hated that, and it was her least favorite aspect of Palia. So I do think that if you don't really like repetitiveness and having to, like, click a bunch and just kind of, like, taking a lot of time for a small task, I do think that the hoeing will get on your nerves, especially when you have to do it for big areas. Like, if you only have to re-hoe like 1 or 2 spots, that's not so bad, but having to hoe like the whole like 9x9 grid or like 18x18 grid or whatever, yeah, that could get pretty annoying pretty quickly. For my official rating of Palia, I will say that it is a 5 out of 5 star game. It is one of the best games I've reviewed here on the channel, and it's quickly becoming one of my favorites. I'm completely addicted to it, and I'm trying to get everyone that I know to play this game. So if you guys want to get a free welcome basket, if you decide to download it, I have a link down in the description box down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!